Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And it's Saturday, and you know what that means. It means it's time for the SmackDown review, and we have a lot to talk about today. It's gonna be a fun one. I am excited! But let me now introduce the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. Clark, how are you today?
What's going on, bro? I really enjoyed SmackDown. I quickly do have to mention I lost a good friend this week. My buddy Cooper Kearns, the life of the party. Got to dedicate this show to him. Biggest smile in the world. Gonna keep a smile on my face for this one. Can't wait to break down SmackDown with everybody. It's gonna be a fun show. Let's get into it.
No, absolutely. Our thoughts are, of course, with his family and friends at this time. Also joining us today, we have the host of the Soul Sessions, Soul. Soul, how are you today?
Hello. As you can see, I'm not in my usual setup. Things have happened here in Scotland. It is a bit cold and chilly and wet. There's a bit of a hole in the roof, so I'm in the attic. It's drafty for sure. And also I spent an hour looking for this stupid thing. So let's get on with it because I finally found it.
Absolutely. No, it's an awful feeling when you lose a tie. And it's a very easy thing to lose as well. It's quite annoying. But also joining us last and but certainly not least, we have Bret Sternberg. Bret, how are you?
Doing amazing. Hope everyone's having a great Saturday. We have a lot to look forward to tonight. Clark, my condolences are with you and the family and loved ones. Prayers and blessings. And good evening from USA. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Good evening from USA wrestling fans. I mean, I did it from Orange County and from LA one time, so that was fun. We've got a couple of comments to kick things off. Firstly, Bobby Petito, shout out Bobby, saying Queen Amanita wrestled against Hikaru Shida last night on Rampage. I heard about that, and 4 people, well actually now technically 5 people, have told me to go and watch that match, so it's getting some high praise. We got Jose Salto in the chat saying TNA, of course they're back. Hard to Kill tonight. We previewed it on yesterday's show. We'll be reviewing it on tomorrow's show. I'm exciting. And Shard is in the comments saying adrenaline in my soul. Today the fantasy title comes to Shardy Rhodes. Of course he
won his fantasy football league. It's big.
He did.
It's a big win.
So at least one
title holder.
I'm just saying. One Rhodes has finally finished their story. You know, well done, Shady
Got
boy.
him.
Because apparently Mr. Cody can't. So I'm just saying.
Oh, that is absolutely all time. But let's jump into SmackDown, right? And listen, Bayley, I'm a huge fan of her, and I want to open this up by talking about Bayley versus Bianca Belair from last night's show, because those two women have put on some great matches against each other. They've wrestled every year since 2020 now, right? 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and now 2024 as well. And in my opinion, I think this was maybe the sloppiest match they've had. The pace was a lot slower, and it just wasn't the standard compared to, you know, their previous matches. And it kind of just sums up the momentum for both women currently, because neither one of them are really doing much at all. Miss Bayley's story with Damage Control, I get it. I'm excited to see where it leads. I've been a supporter of it for, you know, most times. I've defended it a lot of times. But today I can't really defend it, because the last few weeks you've been telling the story about how Bayley's been winning back the members of Damage Control. And now last night in the match, they didn't help her. And it just felt so random. It's not like she did anything wrong which then caused that. It just felt like it made no sense. Like, just mid-story, they decided to change it. Kind of feels like the Julia Hart Sky Blue situation I was complaining about. it feels like they haven't put that much time into, telling this story, despite the fact that everybody involved is so talented. I said it before, I'll say it again. Bayley has to win the Royal Rumble. No excuses. She has to be the one to win it. Women's Royal Rumble undoubtedly needs to be her. Because, listen, I think it's so great what she's done, basically taking a year and a half out of her career to help elevate Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And it's worked with Io Sky. It absolutely has. But at the same time, she's taken a year and a half out of her career to do next to nothing for herself. And I think we need to get Bayley back in that main event title picture. Now, Clark, I know you've been a huge critic of this storyline, but what did you think about this match?
So, my two favorite in the women's division on the WWE side are Bayley and Bianca, by far. Both. I think they're amazing. I agree with you on this match not being their greatest effort. I would blame card placement and timing, and also the fact that it was convoluted storytelling wise, because why is Bayley losing just clean with a KOD? I don't know. I don't get it. To me, if we were going to see shenanigans in any match, it would have been this one. And if we were going to see this match, why don't we open the show with it? I liked the way the show was opened, generally speaking, but I mean, if it's not going to be the main event, it should be the opener. It's Bayley and Bianca. Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about Bayley Doe straps and WrestleMania main eventer and Bianca Belair. Like, I was frustrated by this one. We levy a lot of complaints about the AEW Women's Division. Even I've delved into those complaints myself in recent times. This was frustrating for the WWE Women's Division on SmackDown, because you have two of your biggest stars and it felt, dare I say, throwaway-ish, and it shouldn't. I still thought, you mentioned the word sloppy. I still thought that was a little bit nitpicking. Like, it was still a quality wrestling match. To me, it was about results, placement, and booking over the execution. Because if you put two performers in a bad spot, it's nearly impossible to execute at your finest.
Well, that's true.
I wouldn't knock Bayley's athleticism or Bianca's in any regard. Neither looked like a step slow. The pacing was just slow. And that's where I was interested. I'm wondering if there was some sort of miscommunication about what was going to happen, or misunderstanding about what was going to happen. And we settled on KOD finish maybe at the last second. I don't know. This felt like it did not make sense to me.
I mean, you said there, like, you didn't really think either woman was, a step slow. I'm going to be honest, that's the perfect way I would describe it. I thought they both were a step slow. And that's not me having to go at them. As I said, these two women are top stars. Like you said, this should not be a throwaway match. But listen, when you're in the mid card, the crowd's kind of being a bit silent. I mean, listen, your mental can get in your way at times, and that can just throw you off a bit. Like, well, why should I care if it feels like we're not being cared about? And I've said it before. I say it about the AEW Women's Division every week almost. This SmackDown gave the women the same treatment that AEW gives their women most of the time. I'll say that too. They gave them this one segment. It felt throwaway when it was two of their biggest stars. Like you said, it wasn't good enough. And I call it out in AEW, and I'll certainly call it out in WWE too, right? It wasn't good enough at all. That's the perfect way to say it on that one. But I mean, what about you, Saul? What did you think about this one?
It was definitely odd, I would say, very out of their own element for these two, because I know these two can put on bangers. It kind of reminded me of the SummerSlam match with Asuka, Bianca, and Charlotte, which it was just all over the place and no connectivity between them all. And I don't know why. Maybe it was a snow day and that minus 40 Celsius was just bugging everybody that day. But with the story you said there, and I mean, I do completely agree that Bayley should win the Rumble, her versus Io at Mania, and then you can maybe do something down the line of like a 3-on-3 with like whoever's divided from Damage Control, and then go separate ways. But and more importantly, I think with somebody in this match who we not really planned the future for is Bianca. What do you do with Bianca in the future? Does she go with Lashley and the Profits in their sort of faction, which I think they have a name now, and it's a terrible name because I can't even remember it, and I usually remember things.
Officially, they still don't, I don't think. But
oh wow, it's still
the rumors going on.
It's,
Yeah,
it's not been decided. Let's bring back Cyber Sunday so we can have everybody vote for it.
a vote.
That's involvement.
Yes,
I'll take it. But I think with Bianca, she's done a lot in WWE, so I think she doesn't need to be in a feud with a title. I think have her in a feud with a rising star like a Tiffany Stratton or a Jade Cargill whenever she comes in. Have that something Bianca could do. Someone who's very established within the company and then can elevate a new star. I think that's a very well placed for her because she honestly does deserve it.
yeah. No, you're undoubtedly right. And I mean, Damage Control, they've been putting on good mid-card storylines on SmackDown now for the past year. But of course, since Io's become champion, those mid-card and main title storylines have just merged. And it's not like they've replaced it with another mid-card one. They've just merged into one. And now we're only getting one. And that's just not good enough. Especially when on Raw, they do they do at least one women's, match segment an hour, sometimes two. So I don't understand what's going on at SmackDown with this, because Bianca Belair is just such a great talent. How aren't you utilizing her? I understand Charlotte's injury maybe halted something there. I understand that. But yeah, match against Jade Cargill, I would love that. I think that's a great idea, Soul, for maybe a debut at WrestleMania even. But Bret, what about you? How are you feeling about this one?
I actually completely agree with both Clark and Soul. I think that Bianca Belair should give Jade Cargill the rub in the near future to bring her up and make her kind of that top talent that she should be. If she's going to be in NXT or the main roster, we don't know yet. But as well as what Clark was saying, I don't believe that this was bad for storytelling necessarily. And yeah, I do think that... I know you said this as well, and I know that it kind of was random for people, but for me, it made sense because we haven't really seen Bayley being positive, good face Bayley in a while. So I think this is the turning point right now to go ahead and tell another story at Royal Rumble, so then Bayley can go ahead and maybe turn face. I believe that 100%. And I think that that Bayley either feels or Damage Control either feels that they're dragging each other down. So one's going to get rid of the other, and we will see who that's going to be first.
Just to be clear, by the way, I do agree with you. I think the bigger picture makes perfect sense. I just meant on last night's show, Damage Control once again not helping Bayley when you've spent like a few weeks building back the trust between the two. I thought was confusing. And it'd be different if it was in like a big moment and then you're like, oh no, they're going to turn on her or something like that, like with a shock factor. But it wasn't. It was just like a little thing, and it was like, well, what? Yeah,
and we did also get 3 commercial breaks during this match. 3.
Oh, wow.
So it was a doozy of a match. I'm not saying it was sloppy, but it wasn't the best. But at the same time, I wasn't completely glued to it in a sense because it just wasn't hitting the way that Bianca and Bayley usually hit.
Yeah, no, I do have to agree with you on that one. We've got quite a few comments here. We've got Bobby Petito, who thinks Dakota Kai will wrestle at the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber. I hope you're right. Shard is saying that he loves Bayley so much, but she's not been the same since the ACL injury. And ring-wise, I mean, she hasn't really been given the opportunity, I guess, in her defense. But again, you're also kind of not wrong, but I hope it's just that she's not been given the opportunity. Shard is saying the SmackDown Women's Division is tricky because the cream of the crop of the division at the moment are all in one faction. That's true, but they've got tons of people in the mid-card in that Women's Division who they're not using. Chris Leclerc reminding us that Bayley hasn't held a title since 2020. It's now 2024. What are we doing? And Bobby Petito wants to see Bianca Belair versus Roxanne Perez or Cora Jade. I'd be down for that. Shard, he's loving the idea of Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton. But Chris is also backing up, saying Bayley should turn face and become a hugger. Once again, bring back those hugs. Everybody in that locker room needs a hug right now. That's
Well,
what
that might be a
we
bit
need
of
to
trouble,
do.
Allison, because remember we were at Mania 39 and we saw one of the dismembered Bailey buddies being sold for like $5,000 at the superstore. So we
Oh,
have to recall that payment of that guy who bought
I
it.
will say though, as soon as that music hits for the face turn, there's going to be one of the biggest pops that any women's wrestler has gotten in that company.
Yeah.
Not if they've got
100%.
those Bailey buddies back, Brett. Someone's getting audited. Someone's going to have to be like returning them bits by bits, and there's going to be some poor intern just sewing them up. Like, God,
All I can think when I see the
up.
buddies is the waving inflatable arm flailing tube man scene from Family Guy. Waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Oh,
It's unbelievable.
Well,
no, that's certainly a visual. But now let's move on. Let's talk about LWO versus LWO, the real versus fake LWO, whatever you want to say. It was basically Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde versus Angel Garza, not Angelo Garza, like I was accidentally saying several times yesterday and then tripped everybody else up, and Humberto Carrillo, of course. I mean, this match was fine, to be honest with you. I think these four performers could put on a better match, given a bit more time, but I thought it was fine. Santos Escobar and Carlito brawled into the crowd a bit, and that led to, Garza being able to steal that victory in the end. It did its job, it advanced the story. But yeah, I think it maybe should have been in the slot that Bayley and Bianca was in, rather than being the first match of the night. But what were your thoughts, Clark?
I enjoyed the match as a tag match. I enjoyed the finish, particularly like the way commentary put over Angel grabbing the ropes and reversing the pin and his ring awareness and actually noting the fact that he's likely the most experienced guy in that match of the four. Corey Graves did an amazing job. Shout out Corey Graves on that one. I thought it was a great call of the match. Carlito coming out of the crowd. I want the old music back. No Apple. Come on. Give me more. I want
He had
more.
an apple. He took an apple last night off Paul Heyman.
He did. But I would have liked to see him, spit the apple at Santos during this segment. I think that would have been the play. They fight into the crowd and then the win happens as they're fighting in the crowd. It felt a little bit distracting, but other than that, I enjoyed the match. The storyline is what it is. I mean, they are hinting at calling it Legado and the family and different things. Not the family, but like speaking about the familial aspects of the group in every promo. So as much as it does feel like it's like LWO versus LWO, I think until they're both wearing the shirts, that's not really the scoop, right?
Yeah, it's Santos went up to commentary and he said, "We are the LWO, not them."
Yeah,
that's
right.
where it came from.
No, I know that 100%, but at the same time, it's two different things here. I like the storyline. I don't know where it ends though, and I don't know how you pay it off unless you end up with rematches in the tag division, rematches in singles, and where we go to pay it off completely. So that's where I'm confused. The way this was booked, I was fine with, but it just leaves you with more room for more that I don't know what the end game is. Or I don't have a good feeling about the end game is I guess the best way I would put it. It's one of those things where we've seen Rey and Santos, right? Like, and so unless we're not leading to War Games, we're not.
Well, we haven't seen that yet, have we? Because Ray got injured.
Oh, Ray did get hurt. You're right. We technically have not seen Rey and Santos yet. That's the last frontier, I guess, in this situation is the best way I can put that. Yeah, it just, to me, it's close, but not there. And it needs to be nudged along in a way where I'm really excited to see them lock up. That's not the feeling I've been getting. It's a lot of promo stuff and a lot of like, smoke and mirrors, I would say.
Yeah.
In certain ways. Right. And there's no, oh man, I gotta see the real LWO get the comeuppance on the fake one or the other way around. Like there's no true direction other than maybe Ray and Santos, which is an awesome matchup, and I'm excited to see that. But it also feels more like a SmackDown main event than it does a pay-per-view match to me at this point.
Oh, no, I'd like to see it on a pay-per-view when Ray is cleared, but listen, what you said there is you have a bad feeling about how this ends. I agree, because I have a bad feeling about how this ends for two guys, and that is Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro.
Yeah.
Two fantastic guys who are doing great things in NXT too at the minute. But I feel like they're going to get lost in the shuffle. I really, really do. I think it's going to be one or the other. Either this fake LWO, Legado, whatever you want to call them, right? Either they become nothing and they just fade into, into the oblivion, or Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, their future's looking danger, and it sucks because both teams are so good. But I hope I'm wrong. I really hope they have something planned for immediately following this feud for whoever loses, because that's the way to, get the momentum back, get things going again, keep the ball moving, rolling, whatever you want to say. But now let's move on, and let's move on to talk about one of my favourite guys until I found out he was a Tottenham fan, and now I don't like him quite as much, and I'm not even joking about that. That is how much I hate Tottenham. But the artist formerly known as Pete Dunne, well, he sat down for, I guess, a coffee with Tyler Bate on SmackDown last night, and Tyler Bate said a bunch of nonsense to him, but the underlying line was, you need to decide if you're Butch or somebody else, right? And Butch, very interestingly, said the Brawling Brutes are over. He's moved on from them now. And then he said, the scene cuts. Is Pete Dunne coming back? Please, 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 because we all know how great of a brutal heel Pete Dunne is. He is absolutely despicable when he plays that heel role. He is perfect for it. We saw it in NXT UK. Let's bring it back, and let's bring it back by having him turn on Tyler Bate. Let's not put Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne together. Let's have Pete Dunne turn on Tyler Bate and be like, I'm Pete Dunne, and I'm taking your spot, Tyler Bate. You think you can just come up to SmackDown and try and, take advantage of me like Sheamus did? Absolutely not. I am going to be a top star on this roster, and there's nothing you can do about it, Mr. Vegan Tyler Bate. But what were your thoughts, Sal?
So, two things before I get into this big spiel. One, I think he's going to call himself Dutch now. He'll call himself Dutch. That's the way he's going. And second of all, I really need to move because my legs are seizing up and there's like a 2 centimeter gap above me. That's better. Right. So, I'm going to take about this an interesting take. Him going back to Pete Dunne, I think, will be very sentimental. And the reason why I say that is, I've chatted up to a lot of UK wrestlers, but one place especially is Wales. And from most of the young talent that I've chatted there from, ages like 16 to 19 about why they got into the business, it's because of NXT UK. It's because of the people like Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, Walter, Wild Boar, Eddie Dennis, Flash Morgan Webster, and Mark Andrews, just all those guys. They have a connection there that I think is being underutilized right now. Because I've said this before on a daily before, but I think we could see a return of NXT UK in the near future. Bring that brand back, and if you bring it back with the right people, you bring it back with a Gunther, an Imperium, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate. You bring all those people back onto this new division. We could get a new age of UK talent being shown in WWE, because there is truly a love for that brand and the people on it. And I think if you bring back Pete Dunne, he's going to be cheered. He's not going to be hated on. I don't think he should become a heel. Bring Pete Dunne back with the Bruiserweight theme. Get him a title in his mouth, walking around. That is what people are going to want. And I think a lot of young wrestlers here in the UK will look at that and think, I was a kid when I saw Pete win the United Kingdom title off Tyler Bate. We've got history as a friendship. And I know, Allison, as well, you were there for an NXT UK takeover as well. And that atmosphere, just watching it, I know it was something else because you were there live for one, pal, as well, weren't you?
Yeah, not the Pete Dunne Tyler Bate, but I was there for Tyler Bate, Walter, and the atmosphere for an NXT UK takeover was off the charts. It
shows that was a loved part of the company. One that was very slept on because it wasn't done right because of certain McMahon was in charge. But now we've got a Hunter in charge. I think now, given the way times are and the way the UK scene is just thriving, TNA coming over doing a tour, AEW All In, Money in the Bank for WWE, I think there's going to be a boom of UK talent going over to the big companies in the States. And with bringing back someone like Pete Dunne under his proper name and the Bruiserweight, that is going to be the start of it. That is going to be the true start of a connection with the UK and the WWE again.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great point, I mean, NXT Europe is what's been, Shawn Michaels has talked about that for well over a year now. Of course, since Endeavor, took the reins, if you like, it's kind of just gone a bit like silent about it, but who knows, maybe that is something that they're building too. I'd love to, well, I say I'd love to see it. I don't know if I would, to be honest, because
the
part
thing
of
is,
me would
Alice,
love
we
to see
can't
it.
be a part of it. We can't be a part of it. It's Europe. We can't. We can't actually be a part of it. Brexit told us no. So, we can't be a part of
Brexit
it.
means Brexit. Yeah, there we are.
Just put it on the side of a bus. Maybe it will actually work and come to truth.
Yeah, there we are. That's what we'll do. That would be gold if they actually did a
That's some UK humour for you folks. Welcome. It's very dry and rubbish.
Sorry, Americans. Now you know how we feel when you bring in, your sports references and stuff like
that. Cinnamon toast sugar crunch and my other kind of appetizer I like to handle my ranch.
But the reason I don't want to see NXT Europe particularly, I mean, part of me does because I think it'd be probably good for the business. But the issue I have with it is it killed the UK Indies last time, and they're starting to really recover now. 2023 was a big year for British independent companies. Post-pandemic and post-NXT UK, a lot of that talent was coming back, returning. Multiple companies are on fire right now. I worry we're going to see the same thing we saw in 2018, where NXT Europe just takes all the talent from the UK independent scene, and then the scene just dies. And I don't want to see that again. It's on fire right now. It truly, truly is. But now let's move on to talk about actually what I thought was maybe the highlight of SmackDown last night. And that was Lashley and the Street Profits coming out. They cut a promo saying, Karrion Kross, we want you and we want you now. And then Paul Ellering came out, which was a touch I very much liked, and wearing his white glove, potentially a reference to Karrion Kross's old White Rabbit gimmick, pointed up to the Titantron, and then a vignette played. A heavily, heavily edited one, maybe slightly overly edited for my personal taste, because some things you couldn't really hear, but it really made Karrion Kross seem like a serious, threat in this division. It made the Authors of Pain look like a serious threat, and they're using Authors of Pain again now, not just AOP, because remember when they got called up to the main roster, originally they stopped calling them the Authors of Pain. That's banned. It's now only AOP. Well, it looks like it's both once again, which makes a lot more sense than just randomly having the letters AOP. And of course, Scarlett was amazing, as she always is. Bret, what was your thoughts on this segment?
I personally love the segment. I think what they're trying to do is give Karrion Kross more of a voice, because his voice has been almost misjudged and underheard in the recent past. So I believe that that's what they're trying to do. I also find it kind of funny that every dark manager, their first name is Paul Ellering, Paul Bearer, Paul Heyman. They all have a common theme going on. So, but Paul Ellering, personally, his presence makes everything for me because of what his past is with the Authors of Doom. And the Authors of Doom. What's their face?
Authors of Pain.
No, not Authors of Pain. Who he used to manage.
Clark.
Road Warriors.
There you go.
That's it.
They had a different name.
No, was it?
No, in
the Road Warriors, aka the Legion of Doom.
That's it. No, that's what I'm thinking. That name.
But the Road Warriors at their finest.
Yeah. You're getting me to go into history now, which is where I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not too great. More on that later in the.
I was distracted over here.
Sorry about that, but I needed to bring up history because his history with them is very intricate when it comes to the history that he's going to have with the Authors of Pain. I love that they're being called the Authors of Pain as well, because they are two forces to be reckoned with, and I believe that they need to be a threat in WWE going forward. Now, having this faction come together is special to me for Karrion Kross. I feel excited for him. Do I think he's going to be able to capitalize on it? I'm not sure because of his voice. That's why I'm bringing up Paul Ellering. I would love for Paul Ellering to have more of a voice in this faction, to go ahead and amplify what is behind him, like with the Authors of Pain and Karrion Kross, like a Paul Bearer did with The Undertaker and Kane. So, and there was no speaking with The Undertaker and Kane. It was just Paul Bearer just rolling his eyes and kind of looking devious in a type of way. But at the same time, he was the speaker. And I believe that his speaking voiced a lot of it. It did a lot of storytelling for them both. And I believe that Paul Ellering will go ahead and do so for this faction. I just think that they need to go ahead and focus in on more of the manager role, because this is a dark faction like we were talking about. And another point really quick with the over editing thing that you had said, I do agree with you there, but I do believe that this is just a pure example of how good WWE is at doing dark angles. I think that they're very good at portraying dark, evil angles, and I think that someone in AEW is a little jealous right now.
Oh, wow. I mean, I do agree. I like this segment. I liked it a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go from here. Like you said, Paul Ellering, a great addition, a game-changing addition to that group. But if you guys think that my wrestling history is bad now, wait till you guys see a project that we have coming up in the summer. Ooh, teaser.
It'll be fun.
Quite a few months away.
I'm excited, Ben.
Oh,
I was not included on this. I demand interest. I demand no.
We got a little trick up our sleeves.
What the hell? Am I being left out in the cold?
Who knows?
My brain wasn't braining for a second. Sorry about that, fellas.
The short answer is we're gonna watch some old stuff.
So
yeah,
like 2014.
It's the best you can have. That's the best.
Well, we're going back and we're watching all the stuff Jim Cornette liked. How about that?
Yeah, don't. I thought you were about to give it away. That scared me to death, Ben. Don't do that.
Can't we just watch old AEW like that? That would be more pleasant.
We have Hard to Kill tonight. Let's get into that.
Well, me and Clark are going to go back and we're going to watch every episode of every wrestling show from the pandemic. How about that? That'll be a bunch of fun.
Silence.
We're actually going to try to pump in the crowd noise ourselves.
We're just editing it. That's what we're doing. That's what wrestling.
We're going to try to react as a crowd, and then we'll edit the audio over it. Then we're going to rewatch it actually next summer.
So basically, we're going to be watching like an American show, and there's going to be one American
dubbed-in crowd reactions.
That's a lot more entertaining. Cool.
Sorry, that went off the rails really quick. That's my bad.
Bobby Petito's excited for the secret project we've got coming up. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun indeed. But now
I ain't got no clue. So look, we're in the dark, but
we'll tell you after the show.
But let's now move on and let's talk about Let's talk about the Bloodline, because SmackDown was meant to start with Cameron Grimes taking on Grayson Waller, and I said yesterday it looked like this feud was just like Keith Lee and Swerve, where they just completely forgot about it, and then a few weeks later, in AEW's case 6 months later, realized, oh wait a second, we forgot about this. And yeah, they were going to do it, but they didn't do it. Cameron Grimes got taken out by Solo Sikoa. Poor Cameron Grimes. I feel bad for him. He deserves more. He's perfect for WWE. I don't understand why they're not utilizing him, but that's a conversation for another day. But Paul Heyman came into the ring and said that, Nick Aldis, you think you control the Bloodline? Well, you don't. Roman Reigns isn't going to be competing in a fatal 4-way at the Royal Rumble. That's just ridiculous. Well, Nick Aldis comes out and says, you know who I think's ridiculous? You, Paul. That's not what he actually said, but that's more or less the gist of it. It looks like they're setting up Nick Aldis for Roman Reigns to me. It really, really does, because of how blatant they've made this. So, I mean, another reason, I guess, why I don't think Roman Reigns is losing the title at Mania. I think we're getting Aldis Reigns for the title sometime up post-Mania. But anyway, In the main event, it was Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso against the trio of Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and of course LA Knight. Yeah, but here was the thing. The Bloodline, well, Solo Sikoa specifically decided, hang on a second, let's even the odds. Let's take out Randy Orton and make it a 2-on-2 match.
Yeah.
They did that, but Randy, that was a round delayed, yeah. Randy Orton managed to come back in about, right towards the end of the match, hit his top moves, hit an RKO, win the match. But then after the match, they did the Shield powerbomb on Solo Sikoa through the table, making a statement for Roman Reigns. Oh, I'm liking where this rivalry is going. I like this. I like this a lot. I just don't like how they're treating Cameron Grimes. But Brett, what are your thoughts on it?
I liked it a lot. I think it's a really great filler match before the pay-per-view, to be completely honest with you. I know that Roman isn't at every single show, so this was a good way to go ahead and continue the story between the four of them. You alluded to it before, and I'm going to go ahead and capitalize on it. I do think that this is an opportunity for Nick Aldis to come in the ring again. And maybe, I don't think he ever retired, but come out of retirement in a sense, and wrestle Roman Reigns, like we were all saying. I think he's going to be the one to stop Roman from trying to conquer SmackDown or the WWE, and then he's going to have to go ahead and conquer him. But alluding back to this story, I do hope to see Nick Aldis in the ring someday soon in WWE. But alluding back to this story, I think it was a good told story before the pay-per-view, 2 weeks before the pay-per-view. And I do think that I'm sick and tired of people getting hurt before matches to even the odds. I would have rather have seen something happen during the match where you take someone out, or a surprise, someone from the back come out. Like, I don't care. I just don't like. For me, it dulled down the amplification of the headlining main event, and people want to see Randy Orton. Okay, great. We got 2 Randy Orton entrances in less than 15 minutes or a half hour. But it just, for me, I just wanted to see more action, and it was just very distracting. But yes, they did make a statement at the end with doing the Shield powerbomb through the table. But I do believe that no matter what, Roman's going to come out on top. So this doesn't really affect any of them.
Well, you say that, and I agree. I do think Roman's winning. But this is the first time in a long while where you can say, hang on a second, Roman might lose because he doesn't have to be pinned, and they could do Roman Rock without a title, which for some reason everybody wants. But,
yeah.
I mean, it suspends disbelief to a degree. I prefer this to a singles match, because if it was a singles match, we all know he's not losing. But yeah, I mean, I do agree the spot where you take someone out before the match is overdone. In this case, I quite liked it, but it is very, very much overdone as a whole in WWE. Saul, what were your thoughts on, the Bloodline stuff on SmackDown?
It's quite controversial. Do you want to hear it?
Go for it.
I said, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you on your seat? Are your headphones strapped in?
I'm ready.
I think Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa remind me of 2 individuals in particular from TNA, actually, in the past. Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff. They're absolutely dumb and terrible. I hate the way they are right now. Honestly, come on. This is so dumb. They're so, I recently watched the whole Jay kicking out Jimmy from the Bloodline, and then Jay was like, I'm out too, and then super kick Roman, and I thought that was so great. Oh, that was awesome. And now look at them now. They're like 2 Egypts just walking around like, we need a third because our big chief Roman Reigns is sitting at home doing nothing, and we need some friends because nobody likes us anymore. Yeah, they're Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe. That's literally who they are now. They're the dummlings to the whole big power. With basically Roman Reigns is like Bully Ray in Aces and 8. Paul Heyman's like Taz. I just don't take them seriously anymore. They're just a joke. They're just a joke. I honestly, look, I know you said you want Roman Reigns to hold the title after WrestleMania. If they do that, not
that's what I want. That's what I think is going to happen.
Think. I will correct my grammar. If that happens, I want Solo to become the big badass that he become. Take the title off Reigns at SummerSlam, and that's where we go from there. If that happens,
Fair enough.
great. If not, he's still Garrett Bischoff. I'm sorry. I don't take him seriously anymore. I just don't.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like we're being a little harsh to Solo, because Solo recently has kind of been like he's done a lot and he's looked good. I mean, the guy beat John Cena, and he's not looked like an idiot as much. He's looked like somebody who always wants to fight. But you can say that about half the baby faces in wrestling.
But I'm gonna trash Solo too in my take.
Oh no! Well, I'm
He's like this.
basically
He's like
defending.
this. He's going up and down.
But I will defend some of it.
Like
But
this.
yeah, no, I've got something from last night that really.
I agree with you,
Jim-
Ben. I think Solo looks stronger.
Clark, I'm tagging you
mean-
in. Go, brother, go. I'm tagging you in.
But no,
Go.
I want to say this very quickly. I agree with your point, Soul, about Jimmy. He looks like an absolute idiot. I think maybe that's part of the story, but still, he's coming across like an idiot. But Solo, I mean, I think Solo's like having to deal with Jimmy, and that's the reason why he's getting in all these situations. I think Jimmy's the weakest link here, not Solo. But Clark, here you go. Go on your Solo Sikoa rant.
So Solo Sikoa is supposed to be the baddest dude in the room, right? And I love the Samoan Spike. I'm a big Umaga guy. I dig it. I think it's awesome. I love the way he looks at his own thumb menacingly as other people are talking, as he just grabs his wrist. I think it's brilliant. So he delivers the Samoan Spike on Randy Orton. And thank goodness Randy Orton's such a pro. When he walked out, he's still selling the Spike.
Yeah.
As everyone saw, right? That's what makes Randy Orton, right there in a nutshell. No problem. Here's where I had a problem. So Orton does that for Solo Sikoa last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Orton delivers an old school RKO, the one-hander, one of the coolest on Solo. Last of the three, dead in the center of the ring. The action spills outside with Jimmy and LA Knight. And he gets thrown over the barricade. And thank goodness they don't go to commercial. But guess who walks straight through the shot? Oh, the guy who just took the most devastating 3 letters in all of wrestling, Solo Sikoa, on his way to take the power bomb. He walks right through the shot in the corner by the steps, walking completely normally. It was mortifying in my eyes. Solo is so good. I hate criticizing performers, but you're kidding me. He walks straight through the camera shot as Jimmy is being thrown over the barricade by both AJ Styles and LA Knight. Don't get me wrong. He's being double teamed, but you can clearly see Solo walking on his own 2 feet. Less than 30 seconds after an RKO? 20 seconds after an RKO? I mean, are you serious?
I have just gone back and checked.
We've sold for 25 minutes. I'm telling you right now, you can see him walk straight through the
He's
shot.
crawling. He's crawling. He's not walking.
Crawling. He's walking on his 2 feet.
Go back and watch it. I've literally
I
got
just
it up
watched
here.
it, bro. We can have this debate all day. I will pull up the images and we can do this later. But he's walking. He walks directly through the shot and then takes the power bomb, which is great. Yeah, now don't get me wrong. He's like selling ish on the side of the ring, but it is too soon, as someone would say about a distasteful joke. It is.
No, I've
early.
seen the bit you're on about.
It's not good. It isn't. And
he's holding on a little bit, thankfully, but
he is under the ring, but it's not ideal. It's not a great spot. Randy Orton sold a Samoan Spike for 10 minutes, 8 minutes. I mean, I hate doing math, but right? Randy Orton walked out holding his neck, had to go backstage, receive medical attention. He delivers the most devastating 3 letters in all of sports entertainment, the RKO. And he walks outside the ring.
I'll say this. I'll say this, right?
Because which is supposed to be
the RKO. It was a couple of minutes later, and multiple people in recent years are kicked out of the RKO, at 2, right? Which they have done. And Solo Sikoa was meant to be a top guy. He's just defeated John Cena, and 2-3 minutes afterwards, he's able to walk around while grabbing the ring post. My actual issue. Well, I guess you could say him falling down afterwards makes sense, because maybe he had a little bit power left and then fell down. But I do agree he should have crawled. He should have crawled. But I don't think it's quite as bad
Should have
as...
been a little bit
I don't think it's
sneakier, to say the
Doomsday.
least. No, I don't think it's
don't,
Doomsday at
but-
all. And it's funny because I know we're running out of time, but I would say also, I actually love the Bloodline where they're at right now, being as petty as they are, especially when Roman's not there. That's what the
Oh, okay.
Bloodline should be. Without
That's an interesting
without
take.
the leader at
That's
the
a
helm,
hot take.
without the leader at the helm, without the guy calling the shots, because that's who he's portraying right now. He has the hoodie and he calls the shots, and guess what? They decimate everyone in the ring last week.
When he's there, and then when he's not there, it
And then
doesn't
when
work.
he's
It's a
not
good point,
there,
it's a good
There's
point.
no coach on the sideline.
But we are gonna have to wrap things up now. But Clark, that is a good take. I do understand where you're coming from on that. That is solid indeed. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, make my week and drop us a cheeky 5 stars, please. Instagram follow, all the other platform follow. We're here every day for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for commenting. It's been a fun show. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to Soul. Thank you to Bret. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy what's going to be a great